Hare Krishna.
Here we are, back in our favorite little spot.
Reading nook.
Our reading nook next to the church.
Yeah. Alright. It's Canto 4, Chapter 9, Text 5.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Text 5. At that time, Dhruva Maharaj became perfectly aware of the Vedic conclusion and understood the absolute truth and his relationship with all living entities. In accordance with the line of devotional service to the Supreme Lord, whose fame is widespread, Dhruva, who in the future would receive a planet which would never be annihilated, even during the time of dissolution, offered his deliberate and conclusive prayers.
So it wasn't really so much of a spoiler alert, because Shukadeva Goswami spoiled it there. Right? Remember you said that last time?
No, but Prabhupada did it first.
Yeah. And
before we got to the verse. The verse is what you read, but Prabhupada in the purport did it. Do you see?
Yeah, one purport before probably.
Yeah. Purport. There are many important items to be considered in this verse. First of all, someone's coming by the way. First of all, the relationship between the absolute truth and the relative material and spiritual energies is here understood by a student who has complete knowledge of the Vedic literature. Dhruva Maharaj never went to any school or academic teacher to learn the Vedic conclusion, but because of his devotional service to the Lord, as soon as the Lord appeared and touched his forehead with his conch shell, automatically the entire Vedic conclusion was revealed to him. That is the process of understanding Vedic knowledge or literature. One cannot understand it simply by academic learning. The Vedas indicate that only to one who has unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord, as well as in the spiritual master, is the Vedic conclusion revealed. It's very powerful point made about faith in Krishna and the spiritual master, and how we can all be reading the same books, but it gets revealed at different degrees according to our level of faith and surrender to the subject matter.
Well, it's not so much to the subject matter, is it? It's to Krishna.
Well, that's the subject matter.
And the spiritual master. Yeah, I mean, I kind of get you, but it's a little bit like, yeah. Okay, yeah. One has to have unflinching faith in Krishna and the spiritual master, and then the Vedic conclusions are revealed. Unflinching is pretty serious. It means you don't flinch. Like that. See, she didn't flinch. She's got unflinching faith in me.
I'm one.
One with what?
The world.
Okay, so it got me an impersonalist Mayavadi Buddhist wife. Have you done your commentaries?
Yeah, everyone's waiting for you to read the next paragraph. Somehow he has to add one on after Prabhupada.
The example of Dhruva Maharaj is that he engaged himself in devotional service to the Lord according to the order of his spiritual master, Narada Muni. As a result of his rendering such devotional service with great determination and austerity, the personality of Godhead personally manifested himself before him. Dhruva was only a child. He wanted to offer nice prayers to the Lord, but because he lacked sufficient knowledge, he hesitated. But by the mercy of the Lord, as soon as the Lord's conch shell touched his forehead, he became completely aware of the Vedic conclusion. That conclusion is based on proper understanding of the difference between Jiva and Paramatma, the individual soul and the supersoul. The individual soul is forever a servant of the supersoul, and therefore his relationship with the supersoul is to offer service. That is called Bhakti Yoga, or Bhakti Bhav. So Bhava Bhakti, that's her, is always perpetually being called Bhakti Bhav.
No. I don't like it, by the way. It's not my name. And now Krishna's taunting me.
Dhruva Maharaj offered his prayers to the Lord not in the way of the impersonalist philosophers, but as a devotee. Therefore, it is clearly said here, Bhakti Bhav. The only prayers worth offering are those offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose reputation is spread far and wide. Dhruva Maharaj wanted to have the kingdom of his father, but his father refused even to allow him to get on his lap. In order to fulfill his desire, the Lord had already created a planet known as the pole star, Dhruvaloka, which was never to be annihilated even at the time of the dissolution of the universe. Dhruva Maharaj attained this perfection not by acting hastily, but by patiently executing the order of his spiritual master, and therefore he became so successful that he saw the Lord face to face. Now he was further enabled by the causeless mercy of the Lord to offer fitting prayers to the Lord. To glorify or offer prayers unto the Supreme, one needs the Lord's mercy. One cannot write to glorify the Lord unless one is endowed with his causeless mercy. Prabhupada seems to be referring to himself there. Whereas it says, mentions again, we discussed this before, and I kind of thought, no, it didn't mean that the planet was already created, but here it says that the Lord had already created a planet known as the pole star, Dhruvaloka. That's nice. 5, must be 5 o'clock.
It is. Time for dinner.
So, yeah, interesting. I think the main takeaway is that we have to follow the order of the spiritual master, which is quite relevant and significant.
And then he'll reveal all.
Well, everything will be revealed, yeah. I guess it doesn't mean that you don't have a plan of how to follow the order of the spiritual master, and you don't act with intelligence.
Yeah, you don't become a blind follower. Prabhupada didn't want blind followers.
Yeah, like that.
Alright, text 6. Dhruva Maharaj said, "My dear Lord, you are all-powerful. After entering within me, you have enlivened all my sleeping senses. My hands, legs, ears, touch sensation, life force, and especially my power of speech. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you." Purport. Dhruva Maharaj could understand very easily the difference between his condition before and after attaining spiritual realization and seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. He could understand that his life force and activities had been sleeping. Unless one comes to the spiritual platform, his bodily limbs, mind, and other facilities within the body are understood to be sleeping. Unless one is spiritually situated, all his activities are taken as a dead man's activities or ghostly activities. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has composed a song in which he addresses himself. "O living entity, get up. How long shall you sleep on the lap of Maya? Now you have the opportunity of possessing a human form of body. Now try to get up and realize yourself. The Vedas also declare, get up, get up. You have the opportunity, the boon of the human form of life. Now realize yourself. These are the Vedic injunctions.
How's that song go? Wake up. Time to wake up.
Okay.
Wake up. Wake up, sleep in, so.
Alright. So, the point is that there has to be some level of responsibility on our part to better ourselves. That's what I take from this, where you need to wake up, you need to get up, you need to do something. You know, it's like if someone wants to get fit, okay, don't just mope about it and eat all day and get upset. You need to do something. Control your diet, do some fitness. It has to come, you know, you can keep telling someone, you need to lose weight, you need to lose weight, or you need to get fit. It doesn't actually work until the person themselves are, you know, the light bulb moment. They're like, yeah, I need to do something. Then same with someone who's an alcoholic or addicted to drugs. People around them suffer, family, friends and that, and they go down and down and down, and until they get rock bottom or something happens and they're like, I need to get out of this, you know, then they do it. But you can drag them to AA and you can lock them in their room and that, but they'll just resent you. So what I'm getting from this is some light bulb moment has to be there, and you're like, there must be more to life than this, and then you kind of make the necessary inquiries.
Interesting. Okay, next paragraph. Dhruva Maharaj actually experienced that upon enlightenment of his senses on the spiritual platform, he could understand the essence of Vedic instruction, that the Supreme Godhead is the Supreme Person. He is not impersonal. Dhruva Maharaj could immediately understand this fact. He was aware that for a very long time he was practically sleeping, and he felt the impetus to glorify the Lord according to the Vedic conclusion. A mundane person cannot offer any prayer or glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he has no realization of the Vedic conclusion. Yeah, so a mundane person, Dhruva was just a boy, but by dint of his determination, and that especially coupled with the intention of serving the spiritual master, Narada Muni, in the way that he said, meant that, you know, Krishna appeared and manifested before him, but he was still a child, so he was inadequate to offer proper prayers or know what to do. But because the Lord is so merciful, he just touched him with his conch shell on his head, and immediately he became enlightened with full knowledge. So, you know, this sort of thing, theoretically it's saying here, this sort of thing can happen to a mundane person. It has to be with someone who's a little bit awake, and who's determined or has faith in the spiritual master and Krishna, and they perform their activities. So, interesting.
This is the next paragraph. When Dhruva Maharaj therefore found this difference within himself, he could immediately understand that it was because of the causeless mercy of the Lord. He offered obeisances to the Lord with great respect and reverence, completely understanding that the Lord's favour was upon him. This spiritual enlightenment of Dhruva Maharaj's senses and mind was due to the action of the internal potency of the Lord. In this verse, therefore, the word swadhamna means by spiritual energy. Spiritual enlightenment is possible by the mercy of the spiritual energy of the Lord. The chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is first addressed to the spiritual energy of the Lord. Here, this spiritual energy acts when a living entity fully surrenders and accepts its position as an eternal servitor. When a person places himself at the disposal or order of the Supreme Lord, that is called Seva Mukha. At that time, the spiritual energy gradually reveals the Lord to him. So, spiritual enlightenment, it says here, is possible by the mercy of the spiritual energy of the Lord. And it says Dhruva Maharaj's sense, the spiritual enlivenment of Dhruva Maharaj's senses and mind was due to the action of the internal potency of the Lord. So and then it says the chanting of the Maha Mantra is first addressing the spiritual energy of the Lord. So what are we talking about here? Radharani?
Yeah, she is the internal potency. She's the internal energy.
There you go.
She is Hare, Hara.
Hara.
Hare Hare Nama Krishna. I thought it was interesting, this last part, Sevamukhi, when a person places himself at the disposal or order of the Supreme Lord, that is called Sevamukhi. Sevamukhi hi jivado. I can't remember that verse. Anyway. Yeah, Sevamukha. When one places himself at the disposal or order of the Supreme Lord. Krishna. Okay, last paragraph. We'll stop here. Without revelation by the spiritual energy, one is unable to offer prayers glorifying the Lord. Any amount of philosophical speculation or poetic expression by mundane persons is still considered to be the action and reaction in the material energy. When one is actually enlivened by the spiritual energy, all his senses become purified and he engages only in the service of the Lord. At that time, his hands, legs, ears, tongue, mind, genitals, everything engage in the service of the Lord. Such an enlightened devotee no longer has any material activities, nor has he any interest in being materially engaged. This process of purifying the senses and engaging them in the service of the Lord is known as bhakti, or devotional service. In the beginning, the senses are engaged by the direction of the spiritual master and shastra, and after realization, when the same senses are purified, the engagement continues. The difference is that in the beginning the senses are engaged in a mechanical way, but after realization they are engaged in spiritual understanding. So, Sarvo Padim Nirmuktam Tat Paratvena Nirmalam Rishikena Rishikesha Sevana Bhakti or Uchite. Yeah, it's a different verse, but basically the same principle. That these senses, they're engaged in so many ways, and in the beginning in devotional service, it's a little bit mechanical. Oh, I was told to do this, oh, I have to do this, this is the way I'm supposed to do it, I need to do it like that. But as one comes more under the internal energy, those activities are no longer like mechanical. It's being done because I like to do it, and because this is how I serve Krishna, and because Krishna is pleased by this, and I get life out of it, and like that. So that's the nature of the spiritual energy. Now the real question is how to ensure that we are really genuinely under the spiritual energy. And I was thinking about this yesterday because although there was a little bit of a testing day, but in the evening, because I had to prepare for class at the Manor, I read for roughly 2.5 to 3 hours or something. I was reading and trying to prepare and studying and looking up different things. And after I finished, I was like so enlivened and uplifted, and I realized, oh yeah, this is the way that you get in the spiritual energy. And what does that mean? It means that all I could think about was the topic matter that I had been reading. But just think, it's like so much people are reading, looking at the news, looking at Facebook, looking at Instagram, looking at this movie, looking
TikTok.
at TV, TikTok, TikTok, ding dong, whatever it is. Everyone's looking at everything. and putting that into the consciousness, so then we wonder why I'm not happy, why I'm not Krishna conscious.
Why I'm not peaceful.
Yeah, because we're not actually under the spiritual energy. And whose responsibility is that? It's ours. That's what you were just saying, like Jeev Jago, wake up, wake up. Okay, my God, look at me, I'm in a blinking mess. I need to get under the spiritual energy and do it, chant 64 rounds. That'll put you in the spiritual energy. 16 rounds is a minimum. Because I was thinking, okay, so we read regularly, reading in the morning, getting up to, and that's all good, but it's like perpetually Krishna is wanting more and more time. It becomes progressively more difficult to stay in the spiritual energy unless you're absorbing yourself more in it. So I think that's a takeaway for me from this.
Wonderful.
And just spat on the bug. Okay, so with that happy note, get absorbed, get in the spiritual energy, all of us, all of you, everybody. Thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai, Nitai Go Premanandi, Hare Krishna.